Right.
All right. Hey, everybody. I am really excited about this episode of the Tellman and Fellman Show. It's episode number 49. That's the last
49.
year that I had any dignity, my 49th year. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, my name's Harris Fellman, and the bald guy over aside from the guest is...
I'm Tellman Knudsen, and we have an absolutely extraordinary entrepreneur as our special guest here today on the Tellman and Fellman Show. Can you tell us a little bit about him, Harris?
Yeah, but you know what? It's long, and I haven't. So I'm just going to read the very beginning of it because I think that makes the most sense, and a little bit about what I already know about him.
Yeah.
First of all, I know he's a hard worker. He's like, because anytime I reach out to him, we have short conversations, concise, boom, 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 and I'm like, did I upset you? And he's like, no, man, no. Ron is he's definitely an OG marketer, just like almost everybody that we've had on the show. He started online actually before a lot of people, which is 2001. And he received a chain letter in the mail. I don't know if it was me that sent it to him, but it could have been. I think my chain letter days were a little before that.
I remember
but anyway,
chain
since then,
letters.
He's been on a strange. He's been on a strange career. Yeah, right. It could have sat around somewhere. He's been on a strange career path that nobody saw coming, or at least he sure didn't see coming. I know him as the guy that created Webinarcon, and I am really excited to find out how he got there. Look at that. Another one with a shirt on. All right. And I also hear that he's watched some of the show, so that's cool. I'm glad to hear that, Ron. Thanks for coming on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love you guys' show, man. I'm glad that you guys are doing this and reconnecting with some of the people I haven't seen in a while on live stream. So it's very cool.
Right on, right on. Well, as we mentioned earlier, and as we like to do with everybody, Tellman's favorite question, and we would do the whole show about this if we could. What's your origin story? I just mentioned the chain letter thing, but where did it take off from there?
Yeah, chain letter. So I was a Wall Street guy, right? I was working for JP Morgan Chase, and they had a tuition reimbursement program. So I was going for my MBA, and they were paying for it. And while in grad school, I met a guy who graduated and got a job promoting cell phone contracts with AT&T and for AT&T, MCI. Like they were pretty much spamming. Like he was in charge of the email department. And this is 2000. So it was like acceptable back then, and they would send unsolicited commercial emails to promote cell phone contracts. And he kind of introduced me to email marketing, right, and online marketing. And I didn't even know that you could make money that way. And they had a whole company that was doing it. So he said, man, all I do is I just send out emails, and they just make a bunch of money. And he had access to different email lists, and we were friends, and we used to study together in grad school. So he said, why don't you find an offer for me to promote, and then we could split the profits? So I'm like, wow, really? So I started finding ClickBank offers, and we had as we were promoting stuff.
Was this 2000? Was this 2000 still? ClickBank had offer, like ClickBank was a thing.
2001 at that point. Yeah.
I don't know how much money this guy was making, but like, what a gracious offer! Like. You know what I mean? Like cool, yeah. But like he totally could have done that himself. You know what I mean?
Get offered like that. He ended up getting fired, and I think he just wanted somebody to be in with him. I don't know, but yeah, we started building landing pages, and I started learning how to build opt-in lists and whatnot. But one of the things going back to the chain letter was, as we were promoting stuff, I had a PO box, and one day I got this chain letter in the mail, and it was for this thing called $5 reports. Have you guys ever heard of that? The $5 report?
It sounds familiar. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So basically there were 5 reports and one marketing letter. And there were 5 reports, 5 different addresses. So you had to send $5 cash in the mail to 5 different addresses to get these 5 reports. And then you would be able to market those reports. And then the way it worked was you take your name, add it to the top of the list of the addresses to get the report, and then bump everybody down. So now you start marketing that main letter, and your name and your address is there, and now people are sending you $5 to get that report. So it's kind of like pyramid scheme chain letter thing, but he started mailing that to this email list, and we started making money, and we made like over $1,000, and I'm like, this is crazy. We're just getting cash in the mail.
Yeah, because
what do? They forwarded it as an email. So those people in theory, you did that, and then they were like, oh, I can send an email.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. So basically, the way it advised you to do it was just, you can market online, but these were physical reports that people have to, you have to send $5 in the mail, and you have to send them the physical report for every $5 you get. So they would bump your name down to the second report, and then they would start marketing, and then you would start getting $5 in the mail to the second report, and so on and so on. So everybody that received this, your name, your address was on that list of 5 destinations to get these reports, these physical reports in the mail. So we had a PO box.
So he stopped the chain and brought it online.
No. It was never online. It was always PO box. It was always in the mail, but we would market it online. We would say, hey, send the money here to get these reports.
Yeah.
We would do it out via email through his list, and that worked. And we were making money. And from that, I would get a lot of ads because my PO box, the address was out there on different lists and stuff. So I was getting a lot of ads. And one day I got an ad for, send us $10 and we'll send you these 10 secret restaurant recipes with resale rights that you can use. So that started the whole thing. So I was at the time looking for something to sell on ClickBank, to create my own product on ClickBank. And then I saw that, and there's nothing else like that. And the cooking category was just wide open. So I created this cookbook, and for some reason I called it America's Most Wanted Recipes. And I added 10 other recipes that I found and tested. And it became this cookbook with 20 recipes in it for $20, selling as an ebook on ClickBank.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was terrible though. It was like awful. Like if you looked at it, I was using Microsoft Front Page. I was using clip art as graphics.
Yes.
Ebook cover was terrible. It was the worst thing I ever seen. I didn't know anything about sales copy, but it started selling, and other sites started promoting it, and other people would pick it up. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Secret restaurant recipes. The site was called recipesecrets.net. I later on sold it after a dispute with that same partner, which I don't really want to talk. We could talk about it, but it was a nasty dispute. But anyway, that led to a whole thing of me learning online marketing, getting more focused on it. And all this time I was working at JP Morgan Chase. So I didn't leave there until 2007, but I was making more from my online business than I was making from this job. And I was just kind of double dipping and stacking money. And they finally laid me off in 2007. And so by that time, I had the #1 product on ClickBank in the cooking category, at an email list of like 275,000 people. And I had all these different connections from places like the Warrior Forum. And through a connection that I met from Mike Fellman, I was able to create a book proposal. He had a friend that was a literary agent, and they went out and shopped the book to different publishers. And I was able to get a book deal with Simon & Schuster, 6-figure advance to do 2 books. And that led to me getting on a bunch of television appearances and selling. I think we sold 1.7 million books to date. I did 6 books in that title, became a whole big thing, became a New York Times bestseller. And then I kind of parlayed that into doing webinars and a lot of different things. So,
but that was a cookbook. The thing that you got on TV for and everything was a cookbook. It's interesting, I don't know if you heard Willie Crawford on the show, but he started with, I think he said he still has, a list of people that bought recipes from him. That was the first thing he did. I'm envious of the fact that you got to start with, well, I guess not quite. You got to start with a non-snake that eats its own tail. Like but really on ClickBank, the thing that you blew up with was was a cookbook, was recipes, instead of what a lot of the people that we interview, me included, I guess I'm jealous or envious, like I said, because I just got I got into that world, and I just kind of ended up being stuck in that world. So it's good. So what happened after that?
So after that,
well, hang on. You had a big list. You were #1 on ClickBank.
Yeah.
But the list, I mean, were they interested in stuff other than cooking?
It's difficult. Like I would sell stuff on how to create your own cookbook. They were interested in fitness stuff. I used to say that I was not only the problem, I was the solution. So I would give them recipes and tell them how to lose weight. Right. One point, I had a lot of the top publishers on ClickBank buying ads from my email newsletter. So I had an email
like the
newsletter.
dentist who gives candy.
Right,
Right.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
funny.
Or
That's funny.
Planet Fitness that gives you pizza.
Yeah,
Right?
no, I remember bumping into you, you know, at least a few different seminars, you know, and talking here and there every couple of years or whatever about the cookbook and the recipes and all this kind of. And I thought I was like, wow, this is really it's a very interesting dude, and cool. So you were making money selling this stuff. Eventually you quit your job and you know you went through you sold that company, but like when did like what year did you shift out of recipes and cookbook stuff and into the next thing?
Well, I actually started out on the Warrior Forum. I was doing WSOs and stuff. So I mean, early on I was doing that, but I really got serious about it probably 2007. I
And
started.
but were they what kind of WSOs?
You know, list building,
Oh yeah,
publicity, how to get
marketing
publicity.
training. Okay,
Yeah,
you
marketing
weren't doing
training. Yeah,
cookbook
yeah.
WSOs.
No, I was a direct marketer who kind of discovered a niche. Like I've
Right.
always been, you know, a direct marketer. My first product was a product related to, you know, I pretty much just interviewed a bunch of internet marketers and
Totally.
compiled it into an ebook, and that was my very first
What was it called?
product. It was called it was terrible. It was called Cracking the Internet Marketing Matrix.
Okay.
This
That's
might have
not so
been,
bad. And if people bought it, you know what I mean? Like rock and roll.
yeah.
Jason Parker says Ron is a good fella.
Yeah, I was doing WSOs with Jason Parker back in the days too.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's my guy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. And so, how did you make the shift then from focusing all of your attention on growing a business around cooking to moving into marketing guru mode and ultimately, you know, cooking up Webinarcon? Like that seems like a big jump to me.
Yeah, it does, right? It is a big jump. So basically what happened was the cooking business kind of ran its course. So that partner that I was doing the emails with, he got like really jealous and came back and sued me later on and
Oh,
said that
wonderful.
all those cookbooks were half his and I owe him money, and he sued me, and Simon and Schuster was the publisher, and it was a big messy
Yeah.
lawsuit because we had promoted it to that list that we had together, but I wrote the books. I was the only
Right.
person that ever, I was the sole author of it, but he wanted a piece, and I think he had gotten sick and wanted to pass something down to his kids, and it was just a bad situation. So that went on. So my lawyer told me, like, if you keep making the money in the cooking niche, if you focus on that, all of that money is on the table. He could potentially have a claim on it. You're fine to do something else though. So that's when I really started getting focused on doing something else. And that was around 2008. Yeah,
Yeah.
2008. Well, I had a problem with him in 2007, but 2008 he formally put a complaint in against me. So then I started. So I had a friend, Keith Daughtery. He was doing webinars at the time,
Yeah.
and me and him were friends from the Warrior Forum. And he said to me one day, "Hey, I had a cancellation at some open spot for a webinar in 2 weeks. Can you put something together and do a presentation?" I know, he knew I was successful and stuff with the cooking stuff. And I didn't have a webinar, I didn't have any product, but I said, you know what, let's do it. So I scheduled that 2 weeks.
Here's the thing though. At this point, you'd been to, I'm assuming, countless marketing seminars.
Mm-hmm.
And you were
I was in the game.
friends
Sure.
with all the high level marketing guys that were doing webinars, and you were probably on a whole bunch of lists where you would attend webinars and watch them, right? So it wasn't like you were never exposed to webinars, right? You just hadn't done. Okay, cool.
Right. No, actually, no. Backtrack. The story started out with me promoting his webinar to my cooking
all right.
list.
Okay.
Yeah. So he had a product about book publishing.
Yeah.
And I was able to parlay that to my list as a product that they would find acceptable. And I promoted his webinar, and I think we made something like $9,000 back then. This might have been 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. And then in turn, he said, "Hey, I have a spot in 2 weeks. Put something together. I'll promote you." So that's how that came about.
So this is interesting, Ron, because I just want to be clear. So when you shifted from cooking to teaching people marketing or selling marketing related stuff, you interviewed a bunch of experts and you probably got them all to promote the interview series. Is that right?
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah.
And was it free or paid?
It was paid. There was a book, a product we created.
Okay, it was a paid promotion. Okay, so it wasn't a free summit, but it was an interview series that you used to create a free product, and then everybody promoted it. So it was a collaborative product, and cracking the internet matrix.
Yeah,
right?
Internet Marketing Matrix. Yeah,
The marketing matrix. And
Tellman's so excited about this because that's the project we're working on. That's what Automatic Audience is not working on. That's live. You know, that's what
we're doing
Automatic
right now.
Audience
Well,
teaches is,
and
you know,
so
to collaborate with experts to, you know, first of all,
for
to
your
break into
audience.
markets, or even if you're already in a market, to build a huge list. And it's a great way to leverage and also it gets you out of the imposter syndrome, because you're like, I'm just interviewing these guys, you know.
Right.
Not that you had that.
I'm sure you guys are going to do it better than I did back then. You know, that was one of my first product. That was actually my first product, and that was 2003. I think I put that one out, and that was just an ebook.
So important, dude. Hold on, it's so important because how many people did you interview?
I think it was 15 people.
Okay, a bunch.
People.
Great. And how much did you sell it for?
29 or 20. I think it was 27.
Great. So these days we call that a low ticket offer, right?
Yeah, it was a low ticket offer. Yeah.
And so you interviewed 15 experts on the topic of internet marketing. And
well, I didn't actually interview them. I sent them questions to fill out. You know, this is 2003. I didn't know. What the hell
what did you do?
Oh yeah, you had to do it in teleseminar. Like, no, I don't even know if you could. You probably couldn't do a teleseminar in 2003.
You could,
just like literally questions in a PDF document. Yeah, it was like, answer these questions, write your answer, and send it back to me, and then I just compiled it into an ebook and started selling it for $27.
Cool. That's even cooler. So you made a written product. You made a book, and they answered the questions. You didn't even interview them. So what?
Threw it up on ClickBank, put a sales page up, gave them all an affiliate link, put their faces on the sales page. Here's what you're going to learn from each expert. And then, you know, got a handful of them to promote it, made some money that way.
That's cool because one of the things that we're working on is we're about to have our 50th episode of the Tellman Fellman Show. And we, as a result of, I think our last talk maybe with Jason Parker or something, we decided that we're going to make the first 50 episodes into a book, right? Oh, nice. And then of course we're going to offer all of the people that have spoken in the first 50 episodes to promote it, right? And so like literally the same model. So it's very cool. It's very cool.
Maybe Jason took it from you and told us. Yeah. So let's move forward a bit. We want to try to move into the present now as quick as we can. You got to doing webinars. You must have been doing webinars successfully. Were you ever like a JV manager, of a webinar JV manager or anything like that?
No, just I was in the webinar game. You know, I was known in the webinar circuit. I was promoting webinars. Had a lot of, you know, high profile JV partners and people that were friends, just going to events and meeting people and say, hey, I'll promote your webinar. You promote my webinar. So I would, you know, line up these webinars at least a couple of months just to make some money that way. And worked out. I still do that, actually. It's just the easiest way to make money. You have a presentation, reach out to someone that has your audience. Hey, let's do this presentation. You promote it. I'll give you 50%, 40%, whatever it might be. And by the way, I have a list. I'll promote your presentation. So it's a win-win. And I love webinars because they're seen as content if you do them right? So you could promote it as content. Come on here and learn this thing. We have this expert coming in who's going to teach you XYZ. He may have an offer at the end, but he's really going to teach you what he knows, how he does this particular thing. And it's not like, you know, like promoting something to a sales page is just like, hey, go there, buy this. Hey, go there, buy this. But a webinar is like, hey, come here, learn this. We're going to actually give you content.
And find out if the thing is really for you, and you're going to learn what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ron, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but I just want to ask it like directly. So I know that you're obviously a webinar fan and that you founded Webinarcon, right? And so, which we're going to get into here in a minute. I want to know, I just kind of want to jump ahead. Like, you're doing webinars, they were making money for you. Like, I remember when teleseminars became a thing and like made gobs of money with teleseminars until people stopped showing up to them. And then when I started doing webinars, I started making gobs of money until people stopped showing up to them. And then show up rate evened out, and there are webinars going on all the time, at least in the marketing world. And in certain other industries, there are a lot of webinars. There's a lot of opportunity to get on them, and they're less novel than they used to be. Yet you have this giant conference all about webinars. And so there's this sentiment, and I know this happens with every marketing platform, model, idea, that webinars are dead. Obviously, webinars aren't dead. They're an amazing way to communicate, to connect, to sell. But
I actually haven't heard anybody say webinars are dead yet. I mean, although that can be a marketing ploy. Do a workshop. How's a workshop different than a webinar again? You know what I mean?
Right. They're free webinars.
Do a challenge. It's a different. It's almost like a different structure of the same concept. But anyway, I know what you're saying.
So the point is that, like, at least in my world, show up rate is like 20 to 30% if I'm lucky, right? And I want it to be better than that. I want webinars to have higher impact. And so since the webinar model has been around for about 10 years, plus or minus, probably plus. And so how do you address that? Like, how do you make webinars being like a webinar guru? How do you make webinars better? How do you get more people to show up? How do you keep people more engaged and not just like tune out and be like, oh, it's another fucking webinar, like, really?
Right. Well, first of all, you can make a ton of money getting 30% of the people to show up for a webinar. And you also have the replay sequence and the cart close sequence from that replay sequence. So, but I mean, yeah, people say webinars are dead. Mostly people
who aren't doing webinars.
Right. People that don't know how to do webinars. They want webinars to be dead. No, I mean, like, what happens is you as you're building a list of so first of all, webinars are one of the best things to build a list to, right? Because people are registering. The people that show up, they get to spend 2 hours with you or whatever it might be on this presentation. They get to learn your story. They get to learn, the big opportunity, your product, how it solves a problem for them. So by the end of that webinar, even if they didn't buy, that's a very good lead that shows up for webinars, that had if you did it right, a decent experience, and that knows, likes, and trusts you, right? So building a list like that, a list of people that come on webinars, is awesome because they come on webinars. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it depends on, webinars are dead for internet marketers like you. When's the last time you've been on a webinar? You probably wouldn't even go on a webinar. You just wait for the replay. But that's good though, right? Because the webinar sometimes is a decoy for the actual replay cart close sequence, because just like I made a post about that the other day. Like, say for instance, I tell you that there's a show on Netflix on Wednesday at 7 p.m. It's going live Wednesday at 7 p.m. And I tell you, here's why you want to watch it. And you like that. Oh man, I got to watch this show. But then you miss the show. Right. Like, shucks. And then I tell you, okay, well, we're going to stream this until Saturday at midnight. Right. So, then it's gone forever. And you're like, oh, suck, I missed that show. Let me find a time to watch that. That's the same thing with webinars, right? If you do it right, people are going to know they missed it. Even if they didn't show up live, they know they missed it and they want to catch the recording on demand. People love on demand, right? They watch Netflix on demand all day long, HBO, like all these different networks. So it's really a thing. Like, people will watch a 8-hour show. Like, people will watch an entire series and binge watch it. So it's still a thing. And it's no different with webinars. If your webinar is entertaining, if you have the right hook, if you're, talking about something that they're interested in, people will show up. That's right. A lot of like senior marketers like us, probably just because we know the game, and we might not show up. Like, funny things like Webinarcon, the Webinarcon people that come to our event are the worst people to try to get on webinars. Like, terrible. Like, they do not show up.
They're running the webinar. They're like, I don't got time to be on a webinar. I'm not going to sit there just to wait till the end.
It's like asking a comedian to go to a comedy show, asking a hypnotist, like, to pay and go to a.
I know. Sometimes it happens, but it's rare, right? And so, like, how do you sell Webinarcon to people that don't attend webinars? Do you just do it
Oh
for
no, we
your
don't sell it
sales?
via webinar.
How do
So
you do
so
it?
Webinarcon, the idea for Webinarcon is it cool when we go into talking about that.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
idea
totally.
for it came in I actually bought the domain webinarcon.com in 2017. At that time, I was doing webinars, and I thought it would be cool. I was doing actual weekend events too. So we would, Sam Bell and I did a couple. We would throw events and piggyback off of other events. So like Traffic and Conversion Summit would have an event, Monday through Thursday. We'd have a weekend mastermind teaching webinars and different things the weekend before that. So I did that a few times. And I was like, it'd be cool if, being that I do webinars and webinar swaps, if I bring everybody together that does webinars, and everybody can make deals with each other, and everybody can make money, and just talk shop and talk about best practices, and just kind of get the webinar folks in one room together, and where it's no newbies.
It's a huge obvious idea, now, but like these guys are wanting to swap. These are the sought after lists to begin with, and getting them together in person just makes a ton of sense.
Totally.
Right. Well, if you think about other events, like you guys have gone to events, like you might have 5,000 people there, and it's probably 15 of them that you actually want to meet. Right. And you're like surfing through all these people to meet the people. At WebinarCon, everybody's in the same room together. You got 200 people that are all players. Everybody's there. Somebody that you want to meet, somebody you could do business with and collaborate with and learn from, and learn the latest strategies. And that was the idea in 2017. I just actually reached out to GoToWebinar to see if they would sponsor that, and got no response.
Yeah.
So I just kind of sat on the idea for a while, and I'm still doing my weekend.
Yeah, I mean, live events are tough. They cost a lot of money to put on, and even if you're charging a few grand for people to show up, it's still, like, from what I've seen, it's still like you got to hit your number. You got to put enough butts in seats, but then even beyond that, it's a risk. And the idea of getting sponsored, brilliant. If you can do you get sponsored now?
Yeah, we have Go High Level, and we have some other sponsors.
Okay.
Nice.
DC Faucet and Flex Buy.
DC Faucet. Oh, I haven't heard that name in a while. What's he up to?
He's I think he has an agency helping marketers, funnels, and getting traffic and things like that.
Cool.
Digital Mavericks, I think it's his company.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, so I had that idea in the back of my mind. I had the brand, and then in 2019, Onyx and Gal, who we had a fellow friend, Greg Caesar, was one of my good friends and neighbors at the time, and Greg was one of Onyx's first mentors, actually. So I had that connection. So Onyx had this Learn Center with this big complex, and you could have like 120 people in there at a conference room. It's a huge place in Maryland, and he was looking for people to throw events there. He made a post about it. I reached out to, hey, I'd love to throw an event there. He was like, what topic? I'm like, well, I've been throwing events related to webinars. I'd love to do this webinar event. And he was like, well, Andy also wants to do something similar to that because he's a webinar JV broker.
Right.
Why don't you partner with him, and you guys can do it? So I knew Andy. He had brokered some webinars for me. I met him in person. Good guy.
Andy Husong, yeah?
Yeah, Andy Husong. I think is how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Yeah. Heavy on the Husong. Yeah. So that's my guy. And so we decided to do it. And we were like, man, let's see where this leads to. Let's just do it. Because we were all trying to get in good with Onyx. Onyx was like the 800-pound gorilla. He had this big list. He was spending millions of dollars on traffic, building this big empire. He had this, these dreams of $200 million business. You guys had him on. I watched his interview.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, some people are like lifestyle guys. Like, I just want to, live comfortable, have abundance, and, raise my kids and have freedom. Onyx, at the time, he was a pedal to the metal, grind it out. Let's build this multiple nine-figure business. And, I was like, man, if we can get in good with this guy, he has this huge list. So anyway, he said, okay, you guys can rent it out. But he gave us some crazy number. I think it was like, it was just too much what he wanted for us to rent the place. And we were like, man, we could rent the place down the street for less. And then he was like, you know what? I love the idea so much. I'll partner with you guys on it. We can go all in on it and do this. And we ended up partnering together. And that was the first Webinarcon. Happened March 2020, 6 days before his Learn Center shut down. 5 or 6 days before the Learn Center shut down for the pandemic. So had we pushed it back, we were thinking about pushing it back into April to give us more time.
Right.
Had we pushed that back, it might have never happened.
Right.
So the first event sold out, and then it's been pretty much selling out every year ever since. And this will be our 5th one this year. It's gotten bigger, and now we're doing it at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando.
How many people do you expect this year?
Probably a little bit under 200 this year.
Yeah, cool.
It's been a down year for events, believe it or not. Like a lot of people just saving money and holding on and waiting for the election and waiting to see what happens. But we're still, we're happy with that. It's a $5,000 per ticket event. So the tickets start at 3,000, go up to 5,000, and then we have sponsors. So it's a profitable event. It's actually the event has put my kids through college.
That's awesome, dude. That's so cool.
Dang, I need to put on an event. I got 2 in college right now. Shoot, that's what I should be doing.
Well, let's start with a webinar.
It's interesting you mentioned March of 20. It's interesting you mentioned March of 2020, and you've also mentioned Warrior. You guys know I'm doing like consulting for Warrior Forum, like vendor relations, and
Warrior Plus,
really fun. They're what?
Warrior Plus, isn't it?
Warrior Plus, not Warrior Forum. There's no vendor relations there. Warrior. Thank you very much. Saved my ass. Forget Warrior Forum. Actually, after they got bought out, kind of most people did. But Warrior, like you're held in really high regard with them. They even Mike even built a some webinar. I don't know what the feature actually is or does, and I probably should, but he built like a webinar feature into Warrior Plus, which is crazy because it's it's thought of as having a more low ticket front end and funnels. I'm just wondering, did you keep a relationship with him and maybe Shane? It seems like that must have been part of it, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, we've hung out so many times. We've gone on cruises together. I mean, Mike is a good guy. Shane's a good guy, too. They both come to Webinarcon. I think he sponsored the first one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he sponsored the first one, yeah. And I was like, why did you guys sponsor it? He's like, well, we had a feature we were coming out with, and then the pandemic hit and changed everything for everyone, right? So. Yeah.
No, those are good guys, man. I know we go way back. We've hung out a bunch of times.
Great.
He's a good guy.
Cool. Nice. Well, let's move into the future, Tellman. You got some questions about the future, I think.
So, guys, if you want to get better at webinars and selling stuff online, go to Webinarcon. Like that's the long and short of it, right?
Well, especially if you've got a webinar, and no matter how whatever how good it's doing,
This year we also have this thing called This year, we also have this thing called the Webinar Workshop at Webinarcon. So we're actually going to help people build their webinar from scratch on the third day of the event. We got Jason Fladlin, part of that workshop, Anik, me, Dan Lehman, Knowledge Source, Mike Philstan, Rich Sheffrin. So we're going to be workshopping through helping people create their own webinar. So you don't have to have a webinar anymore, just a product. Like we ask that you're at least doing some sales, you have a product, you have something that you can apply this information to. Some type of expertise, and we can help you with a webinar live at the event.
Harris, we should really try to get to WebinarCon.
I know.
It'd be really good.
Yeah, sure, man.
So so check it out, Ron. So you're working on WebinarCon. This is year 5.
And when is it, by the way? It's November
11th through the 13th.
Right around the corner.
11/11.
Maybe a possibility. So check it out. So what do you dream of, right? When you're thinking about the future right now of this business or perhaps a different business, like what do you see in the next year, 2, 3 years that you're working toward or that you're really stoked about right now and you're thinking about creating next?
I'm dreaming about vacation.
All right.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I just turned 50 years old. I've been doing this business since I was 27. Right. So it's been a long run. I dream of more properties. I've bought a crazy amount of real estate. So all that money I made, I was just putting, 80% of it back into buying properties in the early 2010s and on. And those properties are worth, a lot of money now. So, and I'm making a good amount of cash flow from them. So I just want to do a little bit more of that. And my dream is really to.
You were over here in Europe a couple weeks ago, or a little bit more.
Yeah, I was in. I've been to Europe twice this year so far. I was in Ibiza earlier on this year,
Nice.
and I was in. We went to Dubai, and then Rome, and then Greece, and Turkey, and then back to Atlanta. That was my 50th birthday.
Reach out to
trip.
me if you're ever in London. I live in London now, or Barcelona. I go back to Well, I'm going back to Barcelona to perform in a few days. But let me know.
I love Barcelona. Yeah, we were in Barcelona for the Ibiza trip. That was awesome.
Listen, man, Matt Gill's been trolling you. He keeps posting, and Tellman puts it down. He's like, who this? And I Can has webinar. So if you want to tell Matt to get on our show. Don't nominate him.
Let's give Matt Gill some attention. He loves heckling, but Matt, when are you going to jump on the Tellman Fellman show for an interview?
We're heckling
you're
you
one
back.
of the early people from my origin story. There's a hole in the interview series without you.
You got to have Matt. Matt has the claim of the first person to ever do a webinar. Like nobody, like back, it might have been 1965 or something like
Nitro Webcasts. They developed the platform to do that. Yep.
Wow.
Back in the day. So yeah, Matt clearly wants some attention. So Matt, step up to the plate, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. So you dream of vacation. You're into the lifestyle side of this. You're shifting away. Not shifting away, but you have passive income coming in from real estate. You have Webinarcon that you do once a year. You don't do a webinar. You don't have your own. You're not selling cookbooks?
Yeah, I have my own webinar. Yeah, for sure. We do webinar swaps. You know, my webinar, I teach high ticket affiliate commissions and list building. It's one of my webinars. It's been working really well for the past 5 years. Harris gives you about 12 seconds before he just jumps right into something else. I was going to finish what I was saying about what I want to do. So basically,
please do.
Yeah, basically, I got 10 seconds left. Basically, my goal is to just take my existing business and kind of make myself redundant, right? Step out of it, let somebody run it, and create a funnel around it so it's bringing in new leads. But in this business, like if you could bring in new leads and then indoctrinate those leads, you can have an entire business promoting stuff, and you could have other people promoting your presentation, and it works out well. So I'm just still trying to nail that of how to replace myself. I'm a bit of a control freak though, because
most of us are, dude. Like it's understandable,
right.
You know.
I'm good at email marketing. I'm good at all this stuff, and it's like trying to bring somebody in that has 23 years of experience doing this stuff. You know, you got to kind of accept like at first it's probably not going to be as high of a quality, and then it becomes a thing where it builds up into something
not as good, not as fast. You know, I did it with the solo ads business with Traffic for Me. I had someone come in. It was a friend of mine, and I mean, I got pretty complacent. It was nice. It can happen. You know, it basically someone else really ran it, and we had a little team of support people. But then solo ads have their own set of problems, and then also my site got hacked earlier this year, so. I'm back in, but
I've sent you a bunch of customers for that solo ad Traffic for Me.
Yeah, you did. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I love the way you made it like a professional looking platform.
Yeah.
Whereas, solo ads are usually a thing you do behind the scenes. It's like on some sleuth group or forum somewhere. It's like, hey, I'll give you this and do a solo ad. You made it into like a real looking business, with instructions and videos and
yeah. Thanks.
Cool. Ron, can I just ask you some questions about webinars?
Sure. It's my favorite topic, webinars.
Okay, great. This might be like this is a question I'm always asking and looking for the shift, but like what's the best platform to do sales webinars on these days? What is it Zoom because everybody has Zoom installed, or is it something else?
Yeah, Zoom. You can use Zoom. I mean, I still use Zoom. I use Zoom. I use GoToWebinar still.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think it's really about the platform. I think it's just about what platform the audience is comfortable with. So if you have someone promoting your webinar and they usually send people to Zoom, then you probably want to do it on Zoom, right? So it's like whatever they're comfortable with. Cold traffic, it's probably best to have an automated webinar or a simulated live webinar. So Buddy Winter, I actually talked to him yesterday. A-Event. So A-Event is the best platform for simulated live webinars. So it's like you take your recording and you play it in a live platform where people could have live chat, and that event's the best for that. So it's like a scheduled time that they watch it, and it shows up live, and you interact with them live, but it's a recording. So that's kind of what I mean by
And then
simulated.
you or an
just-
employee
I was-
can monitor the chat, or people are just off talking to each other.
Right. So someone asks you, "Hey, is this live?" You can say, "Hey, we're here with you live. What can I help you with?" You don't lie and say the presentation's live, but you're literally here with them live,
Right.
and you can help them with their questions.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I haven't talked to Winter in a while, and I was wondering how his platform was doing, and so on. So it's great to see that he's still focused on that. That's cool.
Mhm.
And so for you with your webinar business, your business that uses webinars, what's your best traffic source? Is it cross promotions? Are you doing paid advertising? Is it some sort of organic strategy? Is it social? What are you using to drive most of your subscribers and build your list and get people on your webinar?
Mhm. Well, the first is JVs, right? It's endorsed traffic, and that's a no-brainer because I run Webinarcon.
That's
Right?
right.
It's one of the side benefits of having the event where you're bringing everybody together. You
Friends
have
with
all
everybody
these
that does
deals.
webinars.
Yeah.
that's
And then the
incredibly
second one after
tasty
that is
going
still
through.
JVs with JV brokers like Andy, like Michelle Madison, like different folks like that, just going out finding me people that want to promote. And then after that, I run some Facebook ads, some YouTube ads. I occasionally find different sources for solo ads, like outside of the internet marketing space, like Writer's Digest is a good source for solo ads. They have people having my buddy Ty Cohen taught me this, like having
Ty.
yeah.
We should get Ty on here too. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah, I would recommend him. Like,
I used to make so much money with Ty, with his with the Kindle cash flow, man. Like that, he still promotes that thing, right?
As far as I know.
I think so. I think I mean, at least in the last couple of months, I think I saw him still mentioning that.
Yeah, I think I promoted that thing about 7 or 8 times over the years.
Yeah.
So what's the funnel like if you're running traffic from like YouTube and other places? They're obviously not, you're not driving them straight to a webinar, I presume. Like that was, I mean, at least that's what we had to tell people with solo ads. They're like, oh, I want to drive it to this webinar that I'm an affiliate for. I'm like, no, it's cold traffic pretty much, So or are you able to with YouTube drive straight to like a webinar registration page?
Yeah, with YouTube, I was driving straight to I still am driving straight to a registration page, but you can have, so one of the things people don't realize with webinars is you could have upsells from the webinar, right? So you could, the main product from the webinar, you could have upsells after that. You could sell a webinar product for a low price and then give everybody a strategy call as part of their product, and then selling products over the phone. So there's many different ways you can do it. You could have an initial webinar and then sell them into a workshop where you have multiple webinars that they pay for. You could sell the recordings like right after people register and be like, hey, if you can't make it, would you like to buy the recording from this? So you could turn a webinar into a funnel. It doesn't work as well with solo ads, as you're saying, because I mean, a lot of times with solo ads, people don't even know what they're clicking to get.
Right.
They get to the landing page, like, what the hell is this?
So blind, right? Yeah.
But like with YouTube, especially, is like the video kind of introduces you to them.
And now, is that a YouTube? Is that a YouTube ad, or it's you put out YouTube content?
Ad, yeah.
Okay.
The YouTube ad, the video and the ad introduces them to you and what you're offering, and so that's the first step of the funnel. So the first step is not actually the landing page register. The first step is, hey, you watch this video, I'm teaching you some stuff and telling you what you can get. So that's really the first point of contact, which makes it a little different than solo ads. Same thing with Facebook ads. Right. But I mean, honestly, if you're running cold traffic to a webinar, it's really all about the back end, especially if you're in biz op related niches. If you're doing something like my buddy Sam Bell, he can make it work for like real estate related stuff. Like he has people that could just make money on the front end, and they're getting like $5 leads and whatnot. But biz op, man, you might be getting $15, $20, $30 leads, and you got to kind of monetize that with a high ticket offer on the back end. Like if you have a $1,500 offer on the front end, you're probably gonna spend that whole thing on just breaking even if you're lucky breaking even on that traffic that you're paying
So
for.
it sounds to me like what you're saying is, in order is one of the ways that webinars are working better now. You already mentioned earlier is with a focus on what happens after the live webinar, meaning really push and promote the replay well, essentially like a VSL in many cases, right?
Well, you always should have done some degree of that, right?
Right. But then the secondary piece is you have to have a more sophisticated funnel, right? Like it's not enough anymore just to have your $2,000 home study course or whatever. You actually need to think about what comes next.
Yeah, with cold traffic for sure. With warm traffic, you could have $1,000 offer. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything for the traffic, right? And you're just splitting the sales, and people still show up for webinars. I actually like that belief that people think that people don't show up. People, if it's a topic that's hot and you push it and you have a relationship with your list, people will show up for webinars. I mean, it's one of the things also that I learned back in the days. Omar Martin was one of the first people to help me with this back in the days. I used to do JVZoo launches, like little low ticket launches on JVZoo, and you give away a high percentage on the front end to the affiliates that were promoting it, and then the whole goal is everybody that signs up for the little front end product, you have a webinar, and you monetize. You have a so that was work. We used to do a little $17, $27, $37 offers on JVZoo, and then put everybody on a webinar with $1,000 or $1,500 product, and easily clear 6 figures doing that with in like a 7-day period.
Awesome.
I haven't done it in a while, but that still works. I mean, the webinar is the best way to monetize and offer up to, I would say, $3,000. $3,000 if you're really good. $1,000 to $2,000. It's the best way to monetize that. Anything over $3,000, I would say you need to have a phone team, and have like a one-on-one conversation with folks to make them feel more comfortable about spending that type of money.
Yeah, we kind of quickly glossed over one piece too. Something that Tellman and I are surprised that people still don't realize is that thank you page. They just registered for a webinar, and people don't monetize that page, and it's like that's like actually the only time you have 100% of the people that that opted in, the most active, interested people seeing something. Because as soon as it goes to an email list, even then, if I can get a 60% open rate on it, great, which, does happen, but that's still 40% that didn't see it. Maybe over a few days they will, but the only time that you really have their full attention is right then. And it's like, that was actually what, when I first did the teleseminar series that I did, 12-week intensive, that was the thing that I didn't realize. Like people were opting into a free, teleseminar series. And I was like, okay, great. Go check your email. Thanks. And then I didn't monetize it. And Tellman and actually Mark Joyner both were like, you can make some money. And then it was already going. So as soon as I did that, I was like, oh my God, we made a sale. Oh my God, we made a sale. Oh my God, bing, 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 bing. I'm like, oh my gosh, we made $8,000 before I thought we would be allowed to make money. I didn't know we were allowed to make money on that, that thank you page. So
Mark Joyner really pioneered that strategy.
Yeah.
Tellman was an early pioneer of email marketing too. I mean, I used to follow you back in the days. You had some brilliant stuff. I think didn't you have like emailmarketing.com or something like that? You had some.
I still own listbuilding.com.
Listbuilding.com.
Yeah, I'm figuring the next move with it right now. I haven't done anything with it for a while because I spent like 12 years mostly just selling my hypnosis stuff online, right? Okay. And I was just kind of doing and getting divorced and blah, 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 right? I've just been mostly in the personal development space, and I've released a few things that are marketing, list building related over the last couple of years. And so right now I'm just, Harris and I have just teamed up, and I'm kind of like re-entering my internet marketing guru mode at the moment,
Yeah, that's how it is in this game, right? If you don't stay active, you have like probably most of the people online now are new people, right? The market.
Most of the people online who are like young and hungry and jumping in have no idea.
They don't know who Mark Joyner is. They don't know who Tellman is.
It's humbling, It's good, because you have to kind of like learn how to do it again, but in a different way, right? And so it's kind of cool.
It's always a challenge. I was listening to Magic Johnson speak at the Traffic Sales and Profit event, my buddy Lamar Tyler, and Magic mentioned that this is Magic Johnson, right? He's a billionaire now, but he said, back in the 80s, he said his highest salary year in the NBA was $3 million. $3 million was his highest salary year. And now guys are sitting on the bench making 40 million, 50 million, a year. So the game has really changed. And I think it's the same with online marketing now too. I mean, some of the stuff, you remember Jeff Walker used to brag about 6 figures in 7 days. He was Mr. 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And that became John Reese talking about, the first $1 million day, and then Phil Same did it. And, now guys are making, guys you never heard of are making 8 figures. The marketplace is much bigger. The opportunity is much bigger. And, if OGs like us had the energy to do it, we could really
I don't know. I mean, part of it's energy, right? But I think part of it is being able to look at the environment with fresh eyes is actually quite challenging. After you develop beliefs about how things work, and you think you make sense of the world and marketing and business and you're like, okay, this is it. This is how everything works. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. No.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. That's part of it. I mean, for me, it was also, I kind of hit my goal. Like my goal was 5 million net. I hit that, and I just stopped giving a shit about everything. Am I allowed to curse on this show?
Yeah, of course.
Stop giving a crap about most things, and I'm just not as hungry for money as I was. So I mean, I'm trying to get back into it. I'm trying to see it. I'm seeing it more now as a thing that's ongoing, a good challenge, something I'm good at, something I want to just continue doing it, but on my own terms. Like, I don't know if I ever want to try to scale like my buddy Anik was trying to do, but I want to just keep it active because it's just a cool thing, right? We can come on and talk shop with guys like you. You could express your ideas to the world and help people. And it's just like, I can't. When you think of like retirement, it's like, what else are you gonna do that's cooler than this?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you can keep this going, I mean, as long as you can, as long as I have a hairline, I'm gonna keep it.
You don't need a hairline to do
you'll
it.
still be invited on our show. Come on.
As long
Just
as
mess
I
with
have
you guys, but as long as I'm able, as long I have my.
It looks like you're not.
me.
It looks like your hairline's not going anywhere, man. That's like, yeah.
That's the grays. I just get gray. I don't.
You just get gray, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'd be gray if I let it grow because it's gray here. So,
Ron, I was a little bit surprised that what you're selling isn't a system on how to do webinars, and
it kind of is like my webinar product is a system on how to make money promoting webinars.
Oh, cool.
But also, we also have products related to the webinars. We had a mastermind teaching webinars. We had a webinar creation program. So we've done a lot of stuff with that audience, Webinarcon audience.
These days, other than you, who has either the most brilliant, or it doesn't need to just be one person, but who has some of the most brilliant, cutting edge, innovative, effective webinar training out there on how to create a kick-ass webinar, on how to structure everything, like all the steps, all the paid, who's really got the blueprint mastered?
Anik, I don't know if he still sells the course, but Anik has a course on it. Jason Flatlin, of course, he's like one of the goats of webinars. He has this Genius Webinars program. So those are the two that come to mind.
Cool. Sure. Well, we haven't had Jason Fladley on yet, so he'd be a good person to think about. Ron, is there anything else that you wish to share or care to impart on us or our viewers here today about marketing and webinars and digital entrepreneurship? Anything to wrap it up?
Yeah. I mean, it's a relationship business still. It's a business of creating content and of delivering value to people, right? You want to deliver at least 3 times the amount of value as you're offering, you're selling products for. So if you can do that and be a genuine person and then just be active and consistent, the sky's the limit. But most people are afraid to come on camera. Most people are afraid to speak in a group. Most people are afraid to do a webinar and afraid to be a leader and afraid to be judged, right? And to take that position as I'm the guy you should learn from. right? It's a tough position to be in for most people, but if you're willing to do that, you stand out because it's a barrier to entry for most people, and people need an expert to follow. People need somebody to learn from and to help them with their problems. So it's if you approach it that way, as making the world a better place by helping people solve their problems, then it's a really cool business to be in.
Yeah.
What makes the difference in your experience between the person who isn't willing to step into that position of leadership and essentially get on stage and speak publicly, right? Whether it's on a webinar or literally on stage, or whether you're a YouTuber or whatever, like what makes the difference between someone who chooses to sit back and not be in the spotlight and someone that does, in your experience?
Well, just having a choice is a big factor, right? If you're comfortable with what you're currently doing, people that are comfortable in their jobs, or comfortable with their current lifestyle, or some people get comfortable with complaints, with being able to have a story about like, oh, I'm so broke on this, on that, and woe is me. When you realize like, I don't have a choice, I need to make this happen.
That's right.
Then all those obstacles kind of go away in terms of what you don't want to do. You see what's possible if you do it, and you're like, this is what I want, I'm going to go after it. I think that's the big difference. And that's not everybody's an entrepreneur, right?
Sure.
Not everybody's a leader. Like some people have to, be second in command. Some people have to work for a job. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's honorable, but some people are born with I'm unemployable at this point. Like I can't do anything. I can't work for anybody. I get fired. I think I know more than them. It wouldn't work out. I can't have somebody telling me you need to be back at your desk in an hour, or else, I can't deal with, and I don't have to, right? So it's just, I was reading a post the other day on Instagram, and it was a post saying, I think it was Warren Buffett. It was a Warren Buffett quote. And he said, it was something along the lines of, if you're not willing to take risk, you're always gonna work for somebody else. And it was like, if you spend 3 years working on yourself and your own business, you never have to worry about money again, right? And I just thought it was a great quote and a great conversation starter. But then you had people saying, "Hey, easy for you guys to say, how am I going to go 3 years without money? I have a job." And it was just all these objections. And I was thinking to myself, like, it didn't occur to them that they don't have to quit cold turkey. They could do what I did and started part-time and build it up.
Nights and weekends, man, like that's way smarter. Like you need to pay your bills, you need to pay your rent, you need to buy groceries. Like
right. And if you have that intention, I mean, even if you just had a job, right? If you were able to live below your means and save up enough money to last yourself a year, that gives you a year to go all in on the business and give it a real shot, right? Instead of saying like, I have bills to pay, you spend less than you make, you save up that money, and then you use that to buy yourself time to start that business. You only live once. I mean, you could always get another job. That's one of the biggest things that corporate America, I can go on a whole tirade about this. I used to work in corporate America. One of the biggest things they program you into thinking that if you lose your job and go a period without work, you're never going to be able to get a job again, or you're going to somehow your resume is going to be stained permanently. And no, you could go without working for the man for a year, try to figure out a business thing, as long as you save some money and able to sustain yourself during that time. And then you could always get a job. You could always go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's not you're right. That's not an actual risk. That's a total perceived risk. I mean, for sure, I might fail after that year, but then you can go back after only a year or even probably a year and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Ron, this has been awesome. Guys,
it's been a great call. It's been a great interview.
Webinarcon is coming right around the corner. So if you want to up your webinar game, step into that role of leadership and start making some serious dough on the internet, go to the webinarcon.com and hang out with all the best marketers in the world.
And most of them have been mentioned on this call, I think.
I know. And many of the people that I probably are going, I'm sure, have been interviewed on the Tellman Fellman show. And so, Ron, on a scale of 1 to 10, how was your experience today on the Tellman Fellman show?
Oh, 10 for sure. You guys do a good job.
Thanks.
All right. This
a
is
lot of fun.
important. This is important. And you only get one. Is who do you nominate to be our next special guest on the Tellman and Fellman show?
Did you do Greg Caesar? I would say Greg
Not
Caesar.
yet, not yet,
my
but his
neighbor.
name has come up a few times. Greg
Yeah.
Caesar.
Greg Caesar. I mean, my guys, like some of the closest people I'm in this industry. Greg Caesar, Tommy Powers, Ty Cohen, Sam Bell is another one. All the homies, Justin Burns. So any of those guys, you just pick one.
Nice.
I'm biased.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll
you
start
should
with,
be. That was the point. That's the point.
That's awesome. Rock and roll. Well, thank you. All right, well, we're about to wrap it up. Is there any way we can help you out right now, Ron?
Oh, you guys have helped a lot already. I appreciate you mentioning the event. I'd love to see you guys there. So let me know if you wanna come. We could arrange something.
That'd be awesome. Cool. All right, rock and roll. Well, have a great rest of your day. This has been a great show. Thank you so much for taking the time.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
all right,
Ron.
guys, go to Webinarcon.
Go to webinarcon.com
and
yeah, get yourself signed up. It's great to hear that there's still a couple seats left too, or not seats. I don't know what they are. Stands. Ron Douglas nominating. Oh, too late, Nikita.
Maybe we'll see Matt Gill there.
Matt will be there. Matt's there.
Rock and roll. Maybe we can do a live stream with him from the event.
And I used to. Matt and I have never seen each other in person. That was a thing for a while. We were like, we'll never see each other in person. I got laid over for 3 days in Texas on a flight once, and we still didn't see each other. And then from then on, I'm like, we'll never see each other. And then we just kind of joked about it for a long time. But we're both past it now. We're ready to see each other in person. But this could be a huge. If I can get there from London.
Yeah, Matt would be great for your show too. Like he knows more about joint ventures with webinars than anybody in the industry.
I'm all but begging him, yo. He doesn't like to get on. I think he doesn't like to get on these or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Andy Hassan would be another guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I talked to Andy a few months ago about getting on the show, but he was going through some stuff, and so we should reconnect with him. That'd be awesome.
Now Kim
that's why I'm going.
All right.
There it is. Boom. So awesome. All right. Really, really cool. Thanks again, Ron. Thank you everybody for showing up and being here with us live on the Tellman and Fellman show. And we will see you tomorrow.
Oh, it's our first episode with the logo. How do you guys like it?
What do you guys think about our logo? Tell us in the comments. Do you like the logo? Do you hate the logo? Let us know about your thoughts about the logo.
Do you like that we have a logo?
Yeah,
we do.
We do. Indeed. All right. Rock and roll. Thanks, everybody. We will see you very soon. Over and out.
Bye, everybody. Thanks again, Ron.